All right, everybody, this is Derick Lee with Pilot City. Thank you so much for listening to this workshop on selling your idea and utilizing a CRM. So, first and foremost, I want to share with you all what the intent of a CRM is. I'll define it a bit more later, and then a bit more about how to actually sell your idea. So, again, as we've shared in previous workshops, the key thing here with your internship is to essentially make a real project happen with your current developments, right? It's really to further develop your project and then sell your idea to a user, tester, or customer. Now, when I mean sell, I typically don't mean actually selling something specific to somebody necessarily and then having them pay you money. It's about selling your idea and convincing someone or sharing the value of your actual idea so that people actually are bought into the idea so they can actually help use your product or service or test it or buy it eventually, whether it's your employer, whether it's an external party, and so forth. So the key thing about selling your idea is that you have to actually understand your actual idea of your project. So if you don't currently know what you're actually doing, I would recommend number one, fully understanding what your project is and what it entails. Because if you don't know it yourself, you don't expect anyone to actually be bought in to actually utilize an idea. So that's number one. Just be sure you actually understand what your project is and all the details to it. Number two is you have to evolve your idea. You have to be creatively engaged with your own idea. The reason being is because if you don't have an emotional investment to your project, you're not going to put in the energy to make it better, and thus you won't make it better. And then people will realize that and not opt in to using it, testing it, or buying it eventually. So that's number two, is be sure that you're emotionally invested in the idea so you can actually build on your actual project and make it better so that you actually have the passion to share with somebody what your project is all about and why they should be a part of it. Number three, you should really understand the benefits of your actual solution and the features of your solution and understand it in detail enough to actually communicate it so that people fully understand your product and service that you're developing. And when they know the details from your perspective, you'll be able to deliver the value of the actual idea and deliver the value and the communication of it to your actual users, testers, and customers. Really key. So those are some short tips on how to actually sell your idea, and usually it will come naturally, right? When it comes down to it, what I've realized about the idea of quote unquote sales, I know it's a bit of a cringy term to a lot of people, but frankly speaking, personally for myself, I've gotten to really love sales, even though it's a word that people think of when there's salespeople on a dealership and they're selling you cars or whatnot. Yeah, that is part of it, but I highly encourage you to read the book by Daniel Pink. To be human is to sell, because everyone's trying to sell someone something at some point. You're always trying to sell your friends to go get some boba sometime, or trying to go sell, mom's trying to sell their kid to go to sleep. A dealer, a salesperson at a dealership is trying to sell someone on a car. Someone who's starting a startup has to sell an investor to invest in them. And so there's all these different modalities of sales. And what's interesting about sales is that it's a reciprocation, right? So it's not that you're selling something to someone in the hopes of forcing them to like your idea. The idea of sales is to sell something of deep value to that person you're selling to so that you can help them advance their goals, right? So whether it's, again, a drone solution that you're selling to a firefighter to fight fires better, or developing voice assistants for public works departments within city governments, it's about what you're creating of value and how big of a problem you're solving so that you can communicate that to the people that you're actually trying to sell to so they can be aware that your solution exists, right? So think of sales in that light. Sales is really a communication of value that you've created for a particular user, tester, or customer, or employer in this case, in some scenarios. So with that, I'm going to now dive into what the heck a CRM is. If you were to ask me what a CRM was many years ago, maybe like 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you, actually. And the reason being is because it's kind of like an adult word, but it's a really interesting tool, is what a CRM is. So it stands for Customer Relationship Management. And essentially a CRM is a tool that allows you to manage your contacts and relationships with your potential customers. So that's the hint of it. So now let's get into some details on it. So you should now see my screen. And before I go too deep into it, I'm going to share with you what you should be seeing in your second deliverable for your employer is to research, engage, and manage a pipeline of users, testers, and customers. And you have to create a CRM contact book from a template, which I'll show you in a second. You'll enter a Notion.com CRM link below, which is what you've duplicated. You want to research, add, and engage contacts, and then manage and follow up with those prospects. So when you actually duplicate from this template, you'll come up with this particular CRM here. Now, I want to be really clear with you all. This is a very distilled version of a CRM, okay? And this is really meant to actually get you engaged with a simplified version so you can start to understand what a CRM is at its highest level. But before we go into this particular template, let's define what a CRM is, or a Customer Relationship Management System is. Okay, so when in doubt, I go to Wikipedia and look it up. So what the heck is it? It says CRM, or Customer Relationship Management System, is a process in which a business or other organization administers its interactions with customers, typically using data analysis to study large amounts of information. CRM systems compile data from a range of different communication channels, including a company's website, telephone, email, live chat, marketing materials, and more recently, social media. They allow businesses to learn more about their target audiences and how to best cater for their needs, thus retaining customers and driving sales growth. CRM may be used with past, present, or potential customers. The concepts, procedures, and rules that a corporation follows when communicating with its consumers are referred to as customer relationship management. The complete connection covers direct contact with customers, such as sales and service-related operations, forecasting, and analysis of consumer patterns and behaviors from the perspective of the company. So I just read a paragraph here, okay? And you can look it up on Wikipedia on your own time and get a deeper dive into it. But the key thing here is that when someone's trying to sell ideas to external people, basically people in the world, they need some system to manage it, okay? So a really good example of this is Salesforce. Surprise, some of you don't even know what the heck Salesforce is. Well, guess what? You now know what Salesforce is. It's the leading CRM of the world, well, at least in the United States. And Salesforce essentially creates a platform that allows people to create customer relationship management systems, right? And their Wikipedia says Salesforce is an American cloud-based software company headquartered in San Francisco. It provides customer relationship management service and also provides a complementary suite of enterprise applications focused on customer service, marketing, automation, analytics, and application development. So essentially, they started as a tool to create a sales force for organizations. So Salesforce is basically a tool, an online tool that people buy, and they use it to manage their sales force so they can actually sell products and services. So that is what Salesforce is. So just think of Salesforce when you think of CRMs. That's basically what it is. It's a way to manage customers. So in this particular scenario, I do want to let you know that I personally use a tool called HubSpot.com. So HubSpot.com is actually how Pilot City manages our sales. okay? And in this particular scenario, HubSpot is basically, again, the same thing as Salesforce. It manages marketing, sales, customer service, and it has tools for social media marketing, content management, lead generation, and so forth. And so I'm going to give you a little tour of how I use HubSpot.com, which is my CRM for Pilot City. So when you log in and sign up, what you'll see essentially is a bunch of contacts. So a CRM does manage contacts. So if you were to distill it down, it's basically it's your contact book. It's your contact book of all your business relationships. And you can click into these individuals and actually get more information about them specifically. Now, one of these may not actually show too much information, but you click into it and you'll see a dashboard of information where you can manage this particular contact, their phone number, their email, notes. You can email them from this tool. You can add them to deals, add them to tickets. You can address their issues. It's a way to service and help your customers essentially. Now, what's interesting about this tool is that you have a lot of different tools in here besides just a contact book. You have marketing, sales, service, automation even. It's really starting to get pretty wide in terms of what a CRM actually does, basically. And so the last key item I want to share with you is really the sales tool, which essentially is the deals. So this is actually where you put the people you want to sell your idea to and then track them as you go along the way so you know where they're at and you know what to do with them next. So in this particular case, this is actually a pipeline of deals for our schools and our teachers and so forth. So all these columns you see here are stages and phases that we take a customer on so that we can have them join our program and then eventually, in some cases, pay us. So in this scenario, we have a bunch of organizations in the parking lot. Some are prospects, some are leads, some are meeting. We requested some meetings with some are responsive, some are not. We have meetings that are confirmed, meetings that are set up. Those are in the decision-making process. Those we want to offer free pilots to. Those we want to offer flat fee, no caps to. So we essentially have created a pipeline of these columns that we drag deals to after they've passed that stage. So it's what they call a Kanban board, or these columns of stages that you drag contacts through so you know and can keep track of where they are in the process of your sales to them. Okay, so that is a CRM in a nutshell. Okay, so let's go back to this template here. So this template here is what you have. So what we've done is use Notion to create a template for a CRM. So this is very simple now that you know a little bit more, right? So it has a Kanban board of those columns, which is your pipeline that you'll drag your contacts through as you gain their trust and their buy-in. And then there's a table view of those same individuals so that you can put in their position, their organization, their email, their phone number, their LinkedIn, and even the status that they have. And you can assign it to team members as well. So what I've created is a CRM for my own side project called Downtown Analytics, which I did a workshop on how to develop a proposal. So in this CRM, I've essentially added a bunch of individuals that I want to contact to sell this Downtown Analytics solution to. So just to give you some background before I go too deep into it, Downtown Analytics essentially is a solution that I want to eventually launch. And essentially it's putting Internet of Things devices onto facades of downtowns so we can track pedestrians and cars and vehicles to see what the economic activity looks like in a city's downtown. So in this case, if you scroll down to the bottom here, the pipeline table, you'll see a variety of people that I want to contact. So the first person I want to contact is Tony Battaglia. He's the Chief Technology Officer for the City of San Leandro. And the reason why he's interesting to talk to is because if we're going to sell this solution to city governments as data for economic development, we're most likely going to have some level of IT support from the city or IT buy-in from the city government. Essentially, it's a type of customer we want to align with. So that's the first person I would think of to contact is Tony Battaglia with the city of San Leandro. The second person is Dave Cohn. He's the Chief Technology Officer for the Alameda County. And Alameda County, they manage cities like San Leandro, so it'd be good to align with them for future engagements with other cities to get to have an understanding of what other cities are like so we can anticipate selling our idea to other Alameda County cities besides just San Leandro. And the economic development manager of City of San Leandro is also someone we want to talk to because they would probably use our tool to actually know what's going on in their downtown so they can actually make actions on it. And then they would want to probably partner with the IT department or Tony up here when our solution is sold to the city. So in this particular case, what's interesting is that Katie Bowman would be a user of Downtown Analytics. Tony Battaglia would probably be a user too, but he'd be probably more of a customer because it's a technology solution that Tony Battaglia and his team would actually curate and buy for Katie. So Tony would almost be like the internal customer. Katie Bowman would be the internal user and tester. And we also want to get in touch with the executive director of San Leandro Improvement Association because they're a adjacent external organization to the city of San Leandro to basically help advance the downtown efforts of San Leandro. So that's a good person to align on because they could be a good partner most likely, or a tester, or a user as well, and even a customer because they do have their own funds and budget. The next three people are Dougie Uso, Emilio, and Dr. Rosario Flores. So these three individuals are owners of businesses in downtown San Leandro. So what we would want to do with these folks is contact them and say, hey, can we put Internet of Things devices on your facades of your storefronts and track pedestrian and vehicle data so we can aggregate economic development activity for the city and yourself. So the idea here is that these three individuals who are essentially storefront business owners, they would probably want to partner with us and put our sensors on their facades, but also they'd probably want to buy our solution because they want to know what the economic activity is outside their doors. So these could be good users and also testers and even potential customers on a more consumer level or individual level. The city government would be more like an enterprise or organization level that we would want to engage with. And Mayor Pauline Cutter is on here because it'd be good just to let the mayor know that we're doing this because they may want to promote this to businesses that they know in the future or internally advocate for us within the city government and so forth. And then we want to talk to citizens like Zachary Borja here to see, hey, would you be interested in being tracked by this sensor data in your downtown? And in this case, he's not. So that would be good to know. The executive director of San Leandro Chamber of Commerce would also be interesting to connect with because they probably know all the businesses in downtowns. And then David Ermer is a real estate developer for City of San Leandro. So he'd probably be good to know because he would probably be interested in having that data to understand more about the next opportunities for real estate development within downtown San Leandro, for example. So this is a layout of the contacts that I want to contact to be either users, testers, or customers, or partners of some sort. And what you see here essentially is their full name, who we as a team want to assign that contact to so we can actually engage them as the assignee, and then the status of it, whether they're not contacted yet, contacted, responded, interested, or not interested. So this is the status of those individuals and whether the assignee has contacted them and what they said and what they reacted with. You also want to put the position title of the actual individual in this column as well, because understanding more about who they are in the organization that you're looking to pitch is very important, because then you'll know more about what their interests are and how to talk to them. And then we also obviously want to know the organization because that's going to give us information on how to partner with them. And then you want to eventually get their email somehow, whether it's Googling them, whether it's finding it on their LinkedIn, whether it's investigating it. Maybe it's talking to a partner, then introduce you to them, and they may get intro to you so that you can have their email from there. And you also want to try to get their phone numbers. The mobile phone numbers are the best, but you also don't want to annoy people, so you want to probably just get a multitude of phone numbers and then contact the office one first. And then if you have their mobile, try texting them or even calling them and leaving a voicemail. And then you want to try to find their LinkedIn so you have more background on that person to get a better idea of who these people are. So very basic information. The person, who's assigned to that person to contact, what's the status of the contact or relationship, what's their position, their organization, their email, their phone number, and their LinkedIn. This should give you good information on how to get going on contacting them. So when you're ready to contact them, you're going to basically see them here. And so say I were to make everyone not contacted yet. So everyone would be under this not contacted list yet, right? So say I call Tony today. Well, I'll put him under contacted. Say I contact Katie today too. Then that's contacted. So you basically want to drag people along to the status in which they are. So say Tony reaches back out to me tomorrow, I would then drag him to responded and say he's actually interested. Well, guess what? He's interested. And say we contact David Ermer and he's contacted tomorrow, and then he responded, but then he's said in the following email that he's not interested. You throw him in here. So essentially this is a tool for you to basically organize your contacts and the status of each contact. Pretty simple, right? So for the most part, everything I just showed you are basically the basics of how to sell your idea, what a CRM is, and how to use a light CRM. Now, I want to share with you all that essentially this is generally, I think, now understandable. I think most of you do not know what a CRM is or even how to sell your idea based on what you've created. So there's a lot of this rabbit hole goes very deep when it comes to marketing, when it comes to sales. But the overall idea that you should just have in your brain is that you have a value from your project that you've created, and you want to research and list out all the people you want to contact with their actual contacts, and you want to contact them and say, hey, here's a proposal of something I want to do with you. Please take a look and let me know if you're interested. Now, it's not that simple. There's a lot of different approaches of how you want to approach your users, testers, customers, and employers, and so forth. But what you want to do is basically get ready to engage all these individuals, and then engage them, and then follow up and manage all these contacts. So I hope this has been a useful workshop to give you a 101 on getting your CRM going and managing your CRM and what it's all about. And I'm sure you all have a lot of questions about this, so do not hesitate to contact Pilot City's team. You know where to find me, which is Discord typically, and we all hope that you really go ham on listing out all the people that you need to reach out to, identifying their positions, their titles, their contact information, and go ahead and contact them. And be sure that you're also talking to your employer as well, so you're coordinating the approach to these individuals as well. If they do kind of say, hey, don't need you to contact anyone specific, your employer says that, then try to reciprocate that by saying, hey, is there anyone else I can actually contact that is more of a safe zone for the employer? And the reason being is because the employer sometimes may not want you to represent their organization to someone externally. But I think that the best model is to scope down the users, testers, and customers to people that they would find value in you engaging. So please identify that with your employer. And again, go ham, have some fun. So arguably the idea of engaging users, testers, customers is the main value that you're going to receive from this internship. So we highly encourage you to list out 100 contacts that you can reach out to and follow with all those contacts. And feel free to reach out of people outside your jurisdiction as well. Any person who's in the role in which you want to engage are valuable individuals for you to engage. So go ahead, have some fun, and puff up your chest and pull up that phone, get a email template going, have your text message templates ready, and have all your items ready to engage your users, testers, and customers. Thank you so much, all. Hope you enjoyed that. Take care.